3, 2, 1. You are watching Omnis Protocol, and I am Charles, also known as Omnis. And I am back with another Marvel Crisis Protocol battle report. This one is featuring a Charles Xavier-led X-Men team, played by Brett, and then I am playing Mighty Avengers with obviously Spectrum as the leader. This time trying out Zemo Namor splashes in it, trying to start experimenting past just playing a lot of the affiliated stuff. I wanted to see how this would work out overall. So overall, let's just dig right into the game, shall we? So priority roll is going to have Brett going first. He's got Xavier, Nightcrawler, Psylocke, Gambit, and splashing Gorgon to experiment a little bit with the Xavier leadership. I have Spectrum, Sam, Captain America, Iron Man, and then Zemo and Namor. Brett is going to start off by moving up Gorgon to grab the center objective. We are playing Spider Infected with the Jailbreak, the new secure that was revealed by AMG. So Gorgon is definitely an interesting choice to go grab the middle. I think my preference there probably would have been to have Gambit get it, and then to me, my X-Men him backwards would have potentially been my preferred play, but he decided to go with Gorgon. Gorgon's reasonably tanky for a 3 and gets to do good things with power. So it's definitely, if I get the kill on Gorgon, he's going to be powered up for the next turn. Sam moves forward onto the secure and throws a shield at Gorgon, but no damage goes through, and he will give 1 power to Namor, trying to start setting up the whole train here. And this is probably the first game that I'm really able to utilize the second camera in a really good way, where both the terrain and kind of how the match ends up playing out really feels like the second camera provides a really cool view. So I'm hoping that that's cool for everyone watching. It is the side of the table it is on, does have a little bit heavy on the shadows, which is a problem that I am solving in the future. So here, Brett is activating Psylocke. She's moving up kind of aggressively, not going... she did grab an extract, and then she's moving near the secure, but since this one can be contested at range 2, she's moving a little more assertively forward. So here, I'm going to activate Iron Man, thinking he's a very solid pick to be holding the extract, and see if maybe I can get some damage to soften up Gorgon. So here I am picking up the objective. And taking a shot at Gorgon. He's blocking 2. I think he did forget about cover there, so I'm pushing 2 damage through in the gameplay, but I think it would have been 1 damage through in retrospect. It obviously wouldn't have mattered on the Sam attack since Sam's shield throw ignores cover, and so we were already kind of like not thinking about cover, and sometimes that throws you off. But that's it for Iron Man. Now Brett is moving up Gambit, looks like to also grab an extract, which he is. And then he's just going to kind of back up and keep a little bit of space between him and everything else, which I like that play. I think Gambit is a really solid extract holder, both because of enhanced agility, and he does pretty good things with his power when he has it. Oh, Iron Man did pass one of the power that he gained to Spectrum. So now we're going to go ahead and start the Namor train. And Namor is going to Imperious Rex, staying within range 4 of Spectrum. And then Spectrum is going to give him +2 so that he'll have an 8 dice reroll 1 on this charge. So, despite it being 8 dice reroll 1, it ends up, I only pushed through 2 damage on him. And that was definitely one I was kind of thinking after 3 attacks that I would probably get there, but that's just not going to be the case. So now I'm debating, am I going to have Namor attack him again, or do I have Namor go back and grab an objective? Because I am in kind of an awkward spot that if Namor doesn't get it, and so I'm going to elect to not have him make another attack, and he's passing the power to Zemo instead of to Spectrum. And then he's just going to walk backwards and grab the extract. Thought process here is, I didn't really want to leave him in the middle. There was he was definitely going to take a lot of attacks, and not sure one attack was worth all of the attacks he'd end up taking for being there. And so Xavier walks down, but he looks like he is just a little bit outside of range 4 of Iron Man, so he does not get to make an attack there, which definitely makes me feel like the choice to move Namor backwards ended up helping. Because there I'm just totally denying an attack on my team. Xavier's going to elect to just kind of hang out there and be on the secure. So now I've got a Spectrum activation. She is going to long move forward. And the idea here is I'm trying to actually make sure I have an angle that does not give him cover. And then she's going to do her beam 4. I didn't really want to make an attack roll into Xavier here because I didn't want to be giving him unnecessary power. And so I was glad that I ended up outside of range 4 because I wasn't actually checking that during the movement. He started doing his defensive reroll, which he was going to do anyway, but I did want to reroll all either way. And then I get 1 reroll from Namor. And so no damage goes through. And so she just gets 1 power from that. The one advantage here is possibly if I had positioned to just get the beam on both Gorgon and Xavier, then I could have guaranteed that she had 2 power to enhance a Zemo attack. So that is something that's probably worth considering. But for some reason in my head, I still keep thinking that Spectrum has a beam 3, not a beam 4, but it is definitely beam 4. All right. Xavier is using To Me My X-Men to pull Nightcrawler forward. And then Nightcrawler is going to medium move. Man, does this boy zoom? Or he bamfs. He definitely bamfs. And then he is going to bamf. He's going to teleport, spend his 1 to teleport forward 1. And then he is going to teleporting strike on Captain America. I think there's certainly an argument where maybe you put the attack into Iron Man because Iron Man is holding an objective. He had used a superpower, so he's giving 1 power to Psylocke. So Nightcrawler has 3 successes versus 1 block. And so 2 damage goes through. He takes 1 and gives 1 to Spectrum. So the plus side here is it does end up meaning that I still have the power to enhance a Zemo attack if I want. Yeah. Sam also gets stunned because Nightcrawler dealt damage. And so here he's just deciding where does Nightcrawler want to place, because he just has to be within 2 of the target and within 2 of the objective. Yeah, here I was just double checking and making sure that he was not within walk and charge. I didn't think he was, but so he's just going to walk forward and then charge. And just making sure I'm within range 2. 2 for the charge, 2 off of Spectrum to roll more dice. So, I mean, we're talking first round, and I've already added 4 dice with Spectrum, which is pretty sweet. Yeah, so he's blocking 3. I have 6 going through, so I'm going to get him either way. So the error of giving an additional, letting additional damage go through from Iron Man didn't end up changing the outcome really, just kind of slightly affected who would have what power. So there's 2 health, so he's going to keep the power, or keep both of the power, and uses 1 to pick up the objective. All right. I end up scoring 5. He scores 4. So still a pretty tight game. I will tell you, so slight spoiler alert. This game does go to round 6 and ends up being extremely close, where either person can win on turn 6. And, yeah, it has kind of a crazy conclusion. I'm glad I have this one on video. All right. So we're clearing out the, activated tokens and whatnot. Well, so I got Gorgon dazed already. So that's, he's flipped. And I only ended up taking a couple of damage on Sam to pull that off. But it is now going to be where he has priority. So here we're rolling for, so the objective that Spectrum and Namor is on is the one that turned off for the rounds, because that's how this secure works. And now we're resolving who is going to move from spider-infected movement. And so Gambit does get moved. I don't think I'm going after him this round, so my thought process was just kind of make sure that he's not contributing any meaningful damage, and so pushing him away. I believe Psylocke rolled and did not have to move. And now we're rolling for mine. And so Namor walks within Spider Affected. He kind of did the same thing I did with Gambit. Like, let's just kind of have this guy a little out there. Not a huge deal with how far Namor moves. And so Iron Man did not move, but now Zemo is going to move. We're just removing. This is an advance, unlike the wedding party version, and so you can walk through terrain and such. So the sad part about Zemo moving is I definitely had in my brain that I would potentially sacrifice to Spectrum, And then that play is now off. It's funny, I often feel like it's a lot easier to play Sacrifice, but in this particular game, I definitely spent quite a few activations like this one kind of wishing that I had Fallback instead. So here we were cracking up because we started talking about the extract. I was like, wait a second, who actually got powered up and who did not? And because I was in the process of putting tokens down, I kind of half powered up and half didn't, and so we were trying to get my characters to the correct amount of power. So he has 4 successes, and I'm currently blocking 3. Salak is going to spend 1. And she ends up with 3 wilds. I do my reroll, do not get another block. I'm going to take 2. Funny part here is I do think that I ended up with an extra power on Zemo from my getting caught in the power-up phase. But the funny thing is with her destroying 3 power, that it does, like, that mistake ends up not mattering at all, because he just straight up loses that power. And so she destroys all of the power that's on Zemo, and then not sap power, so she doesn't gain it. It just removes from his card. And then he takes 2 damage. He keeps 1 power and puts 1 onto Spectrum. And I believe here Spectrum is rolling 7 dice into him as energy. And he has 2 successes right now versus 2 blocks. There is the potential for Xavier to reroll. And so he is going to elect to spend the 2 power from Xavier to reroll 2 dice, which gets 1 more success. I reroll into a block, so no damage goes through, but then he has 2 wilds, so Zemo goes down to 0 power. She is just wrecking the power economy. I definitely thought there was a world where Zemo dies there. I'm electing to dial up the offense a little bit. So I'm going to do I am a Baron, and to give him 2 power instead of healing him. And then he is going to get 2 dice from Spectrum and then do full rerolls into Gorgon. So I'm thinking 7 dice, reroll all, reroll 1. I have a good chance of hurting Gorgon. I roll no crits. I do full rerolls, which yields nothing, and then the reroll yields nothing. And so all that happens there is I have 3 successes. He has 2 blocks. I do have a wild, so I'm going to deal 1 damage and bleed Gorgon. And so that definitely shook up the plans. I was thinking 7 dice, reroll all, or reroll any, reroll 1, into just 3 dice, reroll 1 would go reasonable for me. And now I'm thinking, all right, now I'm feeling like the odds of taking him down, if I at least got 2 damage through so that I could do a reroll all into him again, I probably would have taken it. But since I only got 1 power, I just decided to pass it to Spectrum, and then Zemo's going to back away. I am backing him away to an objective that is not scoring. I mean, maybe there's a world where I should have gone and like been trying to hand out a reroll to Sam and Iron Man, but just keep an extract safe Psylocke had already activated. Anyway, so Gorgon is now charging, and he's going to use God Crusher. 8 dice physical. I believe this is into Iron Man, which it is. I have 1 crit, which yields no other. He's doing his reroll. He's got a total of 6. Yeah, so I block 1, reduce by 1, take 4. He missed the stagger trigger. I'm going to elect to give 1 power to Spectrum. He throws into Sam, which I'm going to elect to have both of them brace. Could certainly argue that that's not a great brace play, but he doesn't have a lot of throws on his team, so I thought this might be one of the few chances that brace was even going to matter. And then here, I am sacrificing. He's making a Mace Strike into Sam, or he's making a Mace Strike into Iron Man to try to finish him off, and I sacrifice into Sam. In retrospect, because I'm not really sure I want to activate Iron Man next. And so he does daze Sam there. I think there's a world where I would have probably activated Iron Man if Sam did not get dazed. But now I am in an awkward spot where I played 2 cards to protect Iron Man, and I'm not even sure I want to activate him. So what I'm thinking about here is like how he can put out damage. And so I'm going to go ahead and do Namor. Namor is using Imperious Rex, and I'm thinking I actually want to try to take the Nightcrawler activation, since Gorgon has activated now. And he is electing to Royal Guardians to take the attack on Gorgon. And so now we're resolving the place. We were just discussing that the timing is, I believe, that Spectrum declares the dice after the step, at the create the dice pool step. So I would have the option of using that later, but I decided that I got this attack going into him anyway. I might end up only making 1 attack, and so I'm just going to go ahead and do the 8 dice attack into Gorgon and see if I can get this guy off the table. Doing the 1 reroll. I have 5. And we were realizing that his reroll doesn't matter. I believe because he took a bleed damage. So that will remove Gorgon from the table. And this is one of the spots where maybe playing the cards and protecting Iron Man wasn't terribly important, because if Gorgon picked up the objective, I'm potentially going after him anyway. I don't know. I think there was a lot of potential decision trees there, and I'm just not sure that I was making the right one. So now I'm deciding, so I gained a little bit of power. And so resolving the advance on the builder attack to get him a little bit closer. That would be before damage. So what I'm kind of debating here is like, oh, do I want to attack Nightcrawler? How much more power do I want to give this boy? So I am going to elect to attack Nightcrawler. He is going to add 2 defense dice. I had 2 crits, but they roll into nothing, re-roll into nothing. He's blocking 6, so no damage goes through. And then that's it for Namor. What I really ended up disliking about my overall Namor positioning here is that I now gave a target for Xavier to just shoot at, when we knew that he wasn't in range 4 of Iron Man. And so my thought process was go over there and be giving a reroll to Iron Man, but now I feel like I've kind of bred targets. And so Nightcrawler is going to teleporting strike Iron Man. He has a crit and a hit, which becomes another hit. And so I'm only blocking 1 on the 4 dice, so the reroll doesn't matter. So that is going to go ahead and daze Iron Man. So here what he's thinking about is where does he end up wanting the objective to go, because it's going to be reflective of where Nightcrawler goes. And so now we're resolving Puff of Smoke. I'm also realizing now in this moment that Sam was stunned, and I put 3 power on him, or I treated it like he was getting 3 power. So I am feeling like this was the second game that we played this particular day, and just catching lots of like small areas where I definitely feel like I could have been playing a more precise game here. But sometimes that's just video review in general. I tell people a lot of time, I'm not sure there's such thing as a perfect game, and you really notice it in video review. These games are pretty complicated, and there's lots of little things that you can get wrong. And so this is a Brimstone Blitz into Namor, and so I end up taking 3 damage on him. So now I protected Iron Man with cards and ended up losing his activation anyway, which is where I was feeling, in retrospect, I don't know what I was thinking during this turn. I think I was very in the moment of trying to protect characters, but wasn't thinking enough steps ahead. And I played 2 cards to protect 2 characters that both ended up not getting activations. Spectrum beams, I believe that was into Psylocke, and then gains no power, or gains power but dealt no damage. Okay, and now we're actually using her spender. But I actually had not used her spender before this moment, and I kept thinking about Invincible Iron Man spender and in Black Bolt spender, where the place is off the target, and I forgot that Spectrum's place is off of her. So I'm not sure this was a great play. And so the thought process there was, I was like, wait a second, I'm just going to throw her backwards. And then remembering this is a secure that you can test at range 2. So throwing her back that direction would actually yield her still being on the secure. And so I really wanted to be able to throw her into some piece of terrain. But I started realizing that I don't think I was going to be able to get her off the objective and deal her the extra point of damage. But I felt like the important part was getting her off the objective because I felt like this turn was really falling apart for me in general. All right. And so 3 damage was going through. And then Spectrum gets to place range 1. What I was really hoping for was placing range 1 off of the target and being able to score that back objective. But that is not the way that played out. And I don't really have her move anywhere. Yeah. All right. And so I now have no activations left, which is... I generally don't like letting my opponent have 2 activations, and now I'm definitely feeling like it was also a mistake to activate her right away. I think the potential changes in what would happen to her would have been small, and in this particular case, if I'd at least waited, there was potential for her to be able to beam over multiple characters. Yeah, I think me choosing to not pass there is again another mistake, which is going to be kind of the moral of the story of this particular game. I think I still only have a handful of Mighty Avengers games in, and I'm definitely not feeling like this is one of the best games that I've played, but still a really, really interesting matchup. So Xavier shoots at Namor, but no damage goes through. And then he's going to shoot again. 4 successes. And then I do my reroll, get no blocks, so then he is also going to daze Namor. And so, yeah, I definitely felt like this turn, I think the dice were not with me, but also I think I made a cacophony of errors in this particular turn and just did not have anything go my way. I took a crap ton of damage that round. Yeah, 20. I think I took 22 damage that round. And so another error that we realize is that the secure card should have been facing me, or either way, we ended up inversing which ones would be turning off. So we decided to just keep with that perspective. And so we were just using the same perspective the whole time, but it should have been on that turn. Xavier's point was off and Zemo's point was on, but we didn't want to back that up because that would have changed everybody's positioning and that would have been kind of an unfair thing to just give to me. All right, powering up characters. And I do get priority now. I do already have Gorgon off the table, but I'm not feeling great with just how much damage I took that round. It just feels like I'm running out of health really fast. And because both Iron Man and Sam have been dazed already, I think it is time to use Ricochet Blast, but so here we're doing Spider Infected movement. So Zemo is moving backwards. I think this is definitely a case where I think moving Zemo forward for an easier kill could have been really advantaged for Brett. And so he rolls to move someone. I'm trying to remember who it was that we rolled on there. And this was on Nightcrawler, and I was thinking Nightcrawler's probably my target, so I didn't think the move mattered a ton. Psylocke does not move, and Gambit moves. And so I'm getting Gambit a little out of there, trying to prevent him from contributing meaningfully. And so here I'm thinking I definitely need to take the Nightcrawler activation away and use Ricochet Blast before I lose the opportunity to be able to play it. And so playing Ricochet Blast, Iron Man's adding 2 dice to it, and Spectrum is adding 2 dice to it. So it'll be 11 dice reroll any with a reroll 1. We're going to try to take this Nightcrawler activation away, which I wanted to do last turn. I did roll a lot of skulls. And he has 1 block. None of the rerolls did anything, but I still had enough go through to daze Nightcrawler. So now just thinking a little bit about which objective I'm going after where. And so I place the secure, or place the extract kind of behind Sam, and he walks forward to grab one. And I think there's certainly a conversation here where it may have been better for Iron Man to just be able to hang back and try to keep himself a little safer, as opposed to walking someone into being too close to Xavier. And so in this case, Iron Man is getting attacked. He has invul and cover. Ends up taking 1 damage, which he passes to Spectrum. And he gets to advance me, and this is where flying hurts, because he gets to walk me away from the cover. And his intention was to leave me within 2 of Psylocke, which he did do. And then is going to Psychic Dart this time. I roll no blocks. And he rolls 2 crits. And so I invul 1, take 4, and Iron Man is dead. Yeah, so this is where I think, again, probably another mistake on my part, where because Xavier would have to move to grab an extract, so at least it would take an attack away from him. What I ended up giving him was allowing him to make 2 attacks and get the extract off of me, where I think I probably should have just had Iron Man move back, grab the extract behind Sam, and tried to protect him for another turn, because I think I just created really unnecessary attacks on him. All right, and so now I'm thinking it is time to do Namor. So he's into Imperious Rex up to Xavier. He is spending the 2 to make it so he's only rolling 2 dice. And so 6 dice into 2 defense. He's blocking 1. Crit becomes nothing. Reroll becomes nothing. So I just deal him 2. And so I give 1 power to Spectrum. And so now Spectrum is going to give him 2 more dice. And then also he is negating the defenses. So I have 5 versus a block of 0. And so that would daze. Here is yet another mistake on my part in this game. I had specifically thought about the fact that he has no invulnerability characters, so the damage reduction part of Namor doesn't matter, but I definitely forgot in the moment that you can't Xavier's Dream a Namor attack, so he would have gotten the wound there. Now, you'd already activated. I don't think it was hugely impactful. That card was going to get used at some point, but it was definitely, as I was editing this video, I was definitely feeling like, man, I don't think I've watched one of my videos where I've made this many mistakes in a while. All right. So now we got a Psylocke activation. She is doing her telekinetic combat enhancement to move forward short and then roll 7 dice Mystic into Namor. She has 4. And so he does 2 rerolls. 5. I do a reroll. I block 1, take 4. And also destroys a power. I pass a power to Spectrum. And so then Psylocke is going to Psionic Assault for another 7 dice into Namor's 3 Mystic defense. And here... so he does a reroll even though he cannot do rerolls, but I don't think it mattered. I think that only hurt him because even after my reroll, I was going to die. The rerolls only would have mattered if my reroll went into a success. So now there is just a Gambit activation. And I have Zemo, Spectrum, and Sam. So Sam is going to charge forward. And so he's rolling dice into Psylocke. And I rolled absolutely nothing. So even though she had 0 blocks, I end up in a case where I just had nothing either. And so I was all excited about the potential for like that bouncing into Xavier and finishing him off. So I give the power to Spectrum. Spectrum is then going to add dice to the second attack into... Now he's blocking 3, But I get 6 through on the Xavier. And then I'm going to roll 4 dice into Xavier. Xavier cannot reroll for himself, so Sam also gets the days on Xavier. The problem here with my Sam activation is that I didn't move him far enough forward that he'd be able to pick up the extract when either of them get dazed. And so I can't pick any of them up, and I left Spectrum on 0 power. And so what felt like a really good turn initially, after kind of digging into it, I was like, oh, wait a second. Did I kind of screw myself? Because again, this is a scenario where he can contest within range 2 of the secure. And so I could have been further forward, still been outside of range 2 of Psylocke, and been able to pick up the objective with Sam. And that would have been so much better. And so that's just, to explain what was going through in my head at the time, right? I'm trying to stay out of martial arts of Psylocke. I'm trying to stay on the objective. I'm trying to stay within 4 of Spectrum, but then forgot about the other range to keep in, the thought process was be able to pick up an extract afterwards. So here, I'm getting a little gambly here because I feel like I've been messing up and I'm trying to get something out of this. And so I had so I'm electing to charge Gambit with Zemo, thinking I need to generate a power for Spectrum and just kind of hope that Zemo can live. So I get 4 damage through on Gambit, leaving him at 1 and bleeding, and I give a power to Spectrum. So that part is pretty good, because now there's danger where if Gambit wants to attack Zemo at all, there's a risk that if he only does like 1 damage, that then Zemo can kill him. So now we're at doing enhanced agility. And so Gambit just walks a little bit with enhanced agility and deals a damage to Zemo. And so Gambit is going to do his energy attack, so I can't use Master Swordsman. So he has 3 successes because the wild counts as 2. But he gets the damage through to kill Zemo, and I'll hand another power to Spectrum. So I don't know how the math actually works out in that particular situation, but I think it might have been just too much hopium for me thinking that Zemo was going to be able to live through that activation. That maybe the importance of Spectrum picking up an objective didn't really matter. And just keep Zemo safe would have potentially been better. And so in retrospect, I think it's definitely possible that I should not have done that. But there's honestly a whole mixture of things that I feel like I should have done differently. And so now I'm thinking, now there's a 1 health Gambit that's also scoring a point. And so now I'm thinking that I should probably go up there and just try to get the kill there and take the point away from him. One of the things I don't like about this is I'm going into a situation where I don't have any of his characters softened up for next round. They're all going to flip, but I don't have any easy kills. So he's going to spend... Spectrum's going to walk and then spend 2 to roll an 8 dice into Gambit. Might be overkill, but in my heart, I felt like this game was slipping away from me. So the crit rolls into another block, but I have 5. And so that is going to take down Gambit. And then she will get his objective. So as much as this was an amazing turn for me as far as wounds, the problem is I still only scored 3 points to go to a tie. There could have been a lot of ways to execute that where I was able to hold more points. Because I think I also totally forgot that I had placed an objective so it was starting off in range for Sam. And I may have just not had him pick it up. So that was an additional mistake. But yeah, I think that easily could have been a turn where I scored like 5, maybe even 6. And just whiffed positioning and order in a few cases. And I lost Namor. And so now I'm really feeling on the back foot, and I don't have priority. And so there's just so many ways that this game could fall apart for me now. And I'm just looking at his 4 characters totally loaded with power. And at the start of this turn, I was definitely like, how do I stay in this thing? And I definitely, in this moment, I'm like, I just got to see out what he chooses for his first activation, and how does this unfold. So we ended up with 4 objectives on the ground. Spectrum does move. And so here, since Spectrum is moving, and is just moving up to be within range 2 of Psylocke. I think here there is potentially a play to move Spectrum away out towards the edge and not be worrying about Spectrum right away. So Psylocke is activating. She's going to telekinetic combat enhancement. She is going to advance short. And she's going to roll 7 dice energy into Zemo. And so crit, hit. So 4 successes. I had 2 crits. And so then Xavier's going to spend for rerolls. And to 6. I reroll 1. I block 3, take 3. And no wild, so no power removal from Zemo. And I am going to use Counterstrike here with Zemo to see if I can soften up Psylocke. And I deal her 1 damage. I figured she had plenty of power anyway. And I wanted to just cut down on any amount of health that we could. So here she's going to spend 1, pick up the spider. And now 5 dice into Zemo, which has 1 success. I start off blocking 1. She's going to spend 3 for rerolls. which yields no successes, so no damage go through. Or 1 damage goes through, so he's now on 1. So now Zemo has lived, which feels wild. The hard part here is that Zemo can't go after Gambit, which would have been a juicy choice, because Enhanced Agility would just kill him. So Zemo is going to charge, Master Swordsman, and get Spectrum dice. So for a 7 dice, reroll any, reroll 1, and spends to ignore Xavier defenses. And this is where I was definitely like, okay, this is how I'm going to come back in this. And Xavier rolls 2 blocks. I roll in a crit, but it ends up being a skull. And so on a 7 dice, reroll any, reroll 1 into 2 defense dice, I do 1 damage. And so that felt particularly bad. So now I'm just going to do 5 dice into him. And so I ignore his defenses. And so I end up perfectly still getting him to the point I was like, oh, thank God. And so slight power management error then, as I was moving 1 power to Spectrum, but I also needed to remove a power for picking up the extract. I think when you're doing power management leaderships, you really do need to like refine that part. Because when you're moving power around, it can definitely be very frustrating for your opponent. And so, yeah, there I definitely need to remove a power off Zemo for picking up the extract. So this is Nightcrawler into Sam. Sam added dice. He blocks 2, takes 2. And so then Nightcrawler gets to Puff of Smoke. And I did remember to give myself stun. And so I think now we're going to have Nightcrawler go into Zemo. And so he's going to spend 1 to teleport again. And then he's going to Brimstone Blitz. I am going to do Master Swordsman here. So he's doing 7 dice into my 3. And he rolls absolutely nothing. So Nightcrawler has miraculously... honestly, some of the dice rolls in this game have just been bad. So I now have Spectrum and Sam, and he has Gambit left. So now I'm like, wait a second. So if I could kill Gambit before he activates, then maybe I take control of this game? And I'm like, and maybe I get damage on Psylocke as we go. But I'm also thinking... I was also a little frustrated there because I didn't position Zemo range 2 of Spectrum for potential rerolls. So here I'm thinking about having Spectrum beam over Psylocke and Gambit. Yeah. So I am going to beam Psylocke first. So I had 2, and she blocked nothing, no rerolls, so she takes 2. And so I'm going to spend 2 to add dice to the attack roll on Gambit. And so here I ended up with 4, which does deal 1 to Gambit. But I think here Brett forgot about cover, as I don't know, we're not looking in the top-down view at the moment. Maybe it's that Gambit didn't have cover from her in that position, but I think that attack certainly could have dealt nothing. We got to definitely think about cover a whole lot more often now when there's going to be more terrain on the board. And so he's looking at doing enhanced agility to get more towards the action side of the table. And so he does elect to move over. And so here, I was just checking to see if it was possible to get both of them. It looks like not. Yeah, so here I'm like, do I want to be on that objective for next turn for that to potentially matter? And I'm going to have her back up. And so now Gambit is activating. And I created a very nice beam for Gambit. Which was definitely not something I was thinking about in that moment. And so first beam into Sam. Sam adds dice. No damage goes through on Sam. Next attack into Spectrum. Has 1 success. Gets a reroll from Zemo. And she pierces the success, which will give her a power. And I elect to give a power to Sam, because she would have gained a power because she pierced the success. And so here I'm playing Sacrifice to try to protect Zemo. And now this goes really bad for me. 2 wilds and a crit, so 5. And I block nothing. It was Sacrifice, so I couldn't actually do the reroll, but just straight up gets I needed 1 block there to live and did not get it. And so then going to lose Spectrum. So that was where I was feeling real good about how that unfolded. Part of why I wanted her over there was a sacrifice on Zemo. But, that's the thing with Gambit, right? You can only, when he spikes high. And so having a couple attacks do nothing and 1 attack really spike and do all of it is kind of normal for him. But I was definitely hoping, I was like, I think I will not take 5 damage from a Gambit attack. Yeah. And so now I have a Sam activation left. And so Sam here is... So I have 4 successes versus 3 blocks. which will deal 1 to Psylocke. And so I was going to throw another shield at Psylocke, and then we realized that I did not do the reroll. And so do the reroll, which gives him the wild, which will get 1 more damage on Psylocke and gives the bounce, which will bounce into Gambit. And so I deal 2 damage to Gambit. And we realize that I need to resolve the push on Gambit before we resolve the enhanced agility. And so here I'm just like, here, you go ahead and move Gambit. And now he gets to do enhanced agility. And he does not get to the objective. And is outside of range 3 of her. So you could also argue that maybe I shouldn't have pushed Gambit. Or if I did, just push him into the terrain so that it'd been easier to keep him in bounce range of something. All right, we're going to go ahead and roll on Psylocke here. Four before the reroll, so that is going to kill Psylocke. We were talking about bouncing into Nightcrawler, but realized it's after the effect is resolved, and she would already be off the table, so I don't get the bounce into Nightcrawler. Yeah. Okay. Whew, we are just running out of health on this table. There is not a whole lot left. Yeah, so basically we just score off objectives this round because Sam and Nightcrawler are both on the same point. And so I score 1, he scores 2. And he will have priority. We roll to see which one turns off, which is the point that Nightcrawler and Sam are on. And then we have some spider-infected movement. I will say, of all the mistakes in this game, I'm really surprised at how much we've stayed on top of the spider-infected movement. That is something I feel like almost every time I see someone play spider-infected, there's a turn where you forget to do the spider-infected movement. Yeah. I'm like, well, I guess I'm happy that I have 3 characters and you only have 2 left. But I think the odds of me starting my turn actually having 3 characters would be extremely unlikely. And there is a very reasonable chance that by the time it's my turn, I have 1 character. I am electing to go ahead and move Nightcrawler here. And I'm not sure that was helpful. Because of his ability to teleport, I'm not sure me putting him behind terrain really helped me out. Zemo does not move. Gambit moving away ended up being very helpful because I think that very easily could be his opening activation either way. Yeah, and so we're going to have another 52 card pickup. Gambit walks over and is going to see if he can kill Sam and Zemo. And it looks like he's going to start with Zemo. All right, Gambit trying to kill Zemo. Zemo has all of 1 health left. 2. Crit into another success. I block 2, but he can spend 1 to make a hit into a wild to get the kill on Zemo. I had a dream of Zemo living there, but Gambit, the guy, getting the job done. Now 5 dice into Sam. Sam is going to put up shields. So he has 4 on the dice right now, can go up to 5. But I roll 2 crits, 2 blocks, and to blocking 4. So he does spend the power to make a hit into a wild so that Sam takes 1 and lives. So now I'm set up for a going all out with Spectrum, but because I moved Nightcrawler away, I now created a situation where I can't see him. And so that means we're going to go ahead and do a Sam. And he charges over towards an objective and is going to Spectrum is going to give him 2 more dice, so he gets to roll 4 into Gambit. He rolls no blocks. And Sam gets 3, so that will kill Gambit. And we're like, there's way more objectives on the table than there are characters left. And then he is going to walk up onto the terrain. You go, Captain America. So now we're like, okay, because I didn't get ahead in points on my key swing turn, I am now behind in points. And so if Spectrum lives through this, I basically win. If Spectrum dies, I probably lose. And so he teleports over and Brimstone blitzes. And 3, but no trigger. I block 2, take 1. And he is going to Puff of Smoke to give him another teleport. And then is going to Brimstone Blitz again. So I got 5 health. And I'm just like, man, if Spectrum can live. But he rolls 3 crits, 2 wilds. And then gets the hit. So he has 5 successes. So he has enough to kill me, and he has the trigger. If I get 1 wild, though, and pierce his hit, then I live. But I roll 2 blocks and a crit, which gives me 3 blocks. So I block 3, take 3, but he will get to make another attack. And he puffs a smoke to get another die. He gets to Brimstone Blitz. And he has a crit, and so it ends up with 6 successes. So unless I roll massive wilds, which I roll a crit and a block 2, take 4, which will overkill me by 2. And so So we think here that the game is over, but we realize we're not actually at turn 6 yet, and we're not scoring enough points. So we both score 2, so it goes to 13 to 12. So now, one of the power that she would gain, because we were thinking that the game was kind of over there. So one of the power that would have gone to her goes to Sam. And so I think we probably should have also... oh, no, he wouldn't have been able to puff afterwards because he can't measure off of her. So Nightcrawler slides forward. And so now I have to kill a full health Nightcrawler with Sam. So he charges... We are down to 1 character each. And first attack roll, I got 1. He blocks it. So now it's looking really unlikely. He gets a power, second attack, 2. I deal 2 damage. And so now the game is basically over because he has more points than me. But he has the chance for a total party KO. And knowing Brett, he will definitely take it. Yep. He is going... I'm going to add dice with Sam. Not that it really matters. He teleports forward 2. And then he's in a Brimstone Blitz. So this will be 7 dice. Or no, 6 dice. I'm blocking 1. And he has 5 successes, which will kill Sam. Which ends the game with a total party KO. Man, really crazy, interesting game with a cool conclusion. I will definitely say this is one, of all the games that I've recorded this year, this is probably the game where I feel like I made the most mistakes. And probably under normal circumstances, I maybe wouldn't even have released the video. But I think it's important to talk through the mistakes, and we're trying to learn from our mistakes, which is an important aspect of recording video, and why I think you should let people record you, is you do learn a lot from these. And I think a lot of the mistakes that I made in this video, having to edit it and then record commentary over it, I think it is a whole lot less likely that I'm going to be making those mistakes again anytime soon. And I think they're going to stick in my brain in an even better way. But a huge thanks to Brett for recording the game with me. This really was a super interesting game where the dice were swinging crazy. And yeah, and again, I'm loving the secure. I do still think Mighty Avengers are really cool leadership. I don't know why Namor never seems to work for me. God, I cannot... it's funny because Jane Foster Thor always does amazing for me. Namor seems to always underperform with me. And I don't think he's a bad character. I think I've just gotten unlucky in the games that I've played him in. But overall, I think got to see a lot of cool things from Xavier, Gambit doing really cool stuff. And it was obviously Nightcrawler coming home as the MVP overall. So overall, loved the game. And this game I really felt like helped me showcase the dual camera setup. And I think because of the nature of the mission and it being kind of zoomed in over the course of the game, I got to zoom that camera in more and be more focused on the action, which I think was really visually cool for all of you as the viewers. So be gentle to me in the comments. I know I made a lot of mistakes in that game and I plan to 100% learn from them all, but mostly I wanted this to showcase just how close the game got, which I thought was exciting, and how useful the dual camera setup can be in the right matchup. So we'll close things out there and just say the most OP thing that you can do is learn from your mistakes. Later, nerds.